The public sector wage bill makes up a third of our annual budget in Treasury. And this is, it's a big chunk. So we're asking this morning, is it sustainable? And how does the Finance Minister then meet the demands of labour unions in the public sector? To answer that question, we are joined by Labour Relations Manager for the Public Servants Association, Mr. Jannie Oosthuizen. Mr. Oosthuizen, good morning to you. Thank you so much for giving us your time. I think let's get straight into it. The PSAs expectations for that medium-term budget policy statement this afternoon.
Good morning. Yeah, well, we hear that the narrative outside there is that the public service wage bill is the cost driver for the financial crisis that the country is in, and we want to disagree with that narrative. It is not so. It might be one of the factors, but we are well aware that the growth that they anticipated was not accordingly, and the growth was not what we have expected as the country. And secondly, the collection of tax revenue was one of the things that we have budgeted for, which the tax revenue did not yield the desired result. So from us as PSA, we hope that the Minister Bonongwane will focus on employment in government entities like the health sector, the safety and security sector, and the education sector, which is hugely understaffed. That was even mentioned in his budget speech, to say that those are the sectors that needs employment in order to make sure that service delivery is not hampered. And that is our expectation from them, and that they will also focus on how they will inject some money, ensuring that it have investment and return, and not delve into the unorthodox way of using the reserves to fund certain projects. We would rather want them to look at alternative ways in generating income for the country, and do not allow that government employees face the brunt of mismanagement, corruption and fraud that is all over, especially at the SOEs as well. I mean, our SOEs is underperforming, but yet we continue to give money. So that is where we as PSA is of the view that we should look into to other aspects in order to make sure that our finances is in order for our country.
Yeah, and what are your expectations in terms of wage increases then? I mean, we did, of course, hear earlier this year that National Treasury had budgeted something along the lines of 3%, or was it 3.3% annual increase over the next 3 fiscal years? I mean, are you expecting better numbers there?
No, definitely. We have signed a collective agreement, a multi-term collective agreement, which clearly indicate what we are expected. We expected CPI, and definitely we will hold the employer accountable to that, and that they do not renege again from another wage agreement that was signed, and stop trying to get public empathy and sympathy in playing us against the public. We did sign a collective agreement which is binding on the employer, and we expect that they will adhere to the agreement and they will implement as per the statement as per the collective agreement that was signed.
Yeah, I mean, what do you say then to pundits and economists that argue that, well, you know, we can certainly speak about sticking to the public wage agreements that have been made between Labour and government, but in the long run, this simply isn't sustainable, where you do have Treasury that says they're just not seeing an increase in revenue collection, right? So what do you do? What do you say then? What is the offer that you put on the table, or the recommendation then on how government really starts to consider sustaining this massive wage bill, and also perhaps even continuing to create jobs in the public sector?
Well, we have all indicated to government that first of all they need to look into reducing the cabinet in reducing that. By reducing that, they will definitely have a saving that they can make sure that public servants are not worse off. I mean, we did sign the collective agreement and we took into consideration, and we are sure that the government has budget for that, as they have indicated, because they have signed a collective agreement. They've given us assurance in terms of the public service regulations and the Public Service Act that they are complying and there is finances available in order to honor the agreement. So we expect that government will honor the agreement and they will implement subsequently the wage agreement that was signed between Labour and the employer. And as we have indicated, that is the places where they can look into maybe reduce state-owned entities, which is underperforming. And those monies and funds can be used to ensure that our financial crisis.
But let me ask you this, Mr. Oosthuizen, apologies, I need to jump in there because I need to try and challenge that point that you're making, right? Cut down on the number that we have in cabinet, so cabinet members, and then you're saying, cut down even on some of the departments that we have. But we're talking about quite a bill here, right? In March this year, we heard that the public sector wages would cost us more, an additional 37.4 billion rand. That's over and above the 700 billion that it was already costing us in March this year. That number, I can only imagine what we're going to be hearing from the finance minister and what it looks like. So even the suggestions that you're making, just how much could that really shave off of this massive over 700 billion rand bill?
Well, then, we will have to do the calculations to come up with an exact figure, which we have not yet done. But I think that is already a step into the right direction. To have a bloated parliament, bloated cabinet, SOEs that is underperforming, this money that they give to the state, struggling state-owned entities, all those money can be channeled to ensure that the necessary positions in health, education and the public sector is being funded and addressed, because we cannot continue with the crime rate in the country. We cannot continue with our education system if there is not enough educators. We need to address those inefficiencies and make sure that it is being addressed adequately. Otherwise, we can just also close shop and we will have a failed state, like or another pandemic on our hands if we're not going to address that.
Okay.
These government employees also have families to look after. They also is struck by the economical circumstances. And we cannot always face the brunt of government mismanagement of funding and allow them just to play dead and just say, no, take the money from our government employees. They are not facing the brunt. They are well paid. We cannot allow that.
Yeah, of course, the irony isn't lost on me that I'm asking these questions as a member of some of those people that you speak about as well, speaking also for some of my colleagues. But of course, it must be challenged as we get closer to that medium-term budget policy statement. Jannie, thank you so much for speaking to us. We do appreciate it.